All right, y'all. It is time to shine. It is time to shine. Excuse me. Welcome to another very special edition of the Run the Jewelz podcast show and vidcast series. We appreciate all of you all tuning in today for our very special episode. If this is your first time joining us for our podcast show and vidcast series, I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple. King Jewelz here, ready to drop a ton of jewels on everyone who will be listening on our podcast. If you're watching our live stream on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitter, welcome to the Run the Jewelz podcast show and vidcast series. You can listen to us on all podcasts and music streaming platforms. All you have to do is search for the Run the Jewelz podcast, and you'll see my face with the Run the Jewelz podcast episodes that we've released from season 1 all the way now to season 4, you all. We're literally on season 4, locked and loaded, dropping a ton of jewels from our young professional and entrepreneurial guests. But you can definitely listen to our previous episodes to go and track with us. But shout out to our wisdom listeners who are tuning in with exclusive access to today's episode. And we're also on Clubhouse, you all. We just upgraded to be mobile on different platforms. And so shout out to Clubhouse and also shout out to wisdom listeners. But the RTJ Lifestyle Show was created to spread inspiration to young professionals and millennial entrepreneurs who want to learn wisdom on how to shine brighter in their careers or their businesses. And so if you are a young professional or even an entrepreneur, if you're a millennial, a Gen Zer, or even if you're a baby boomer, we definitely show love to our baby boomers too. Welcome to the Run the Jewelz podcast show and vidcast series. Again, we're about to be diving in to a lot of more subjects that are global this season. And so if you are interested in being featured as one of our guests on the RTJ show, fill out the interest form that we're putting in the comment section right below to make sure you can see if you have what it takes. And our team will go and comb through some of the bright kings and queens that we are looking for to come and share their testimony. Or if you're a teacher at heart and you want to teach any of our listeners on your subject matter, we appreciate you signing up and following the jewels this year. And so shout out to all of our listeners. But again, we are locked and loaded, you all. We are ready to go. And we're literally winding down this season for you all. So I'm excited for what we've been able to accomplish thus far. We've been putting in a lot of work and a lot of time and even preparation to make a phenomenal season. And so we are literally on the cusp of finishing this season strong, you all. And so for those who have been rocking with us from all of our previous episodes for season 4, thank you. We would not have been able to make this show a success without you. Thanks again to all of our donors, all of our sponsors, and especially all of our supporters. We are able to share jewels each and every week on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with our audience members. And so thank you again to everyone that is tuning in. If you have any questions at any portion of today's interview, whether you're on Wisdom, whether you're in the live stream chat, feel free to come onto the stage and ask any questions that you may have from my very special guests. And so we definitely want to hear from you. This is an interactive show, not just a one-on-one show. And so if you have any questions at any time, just make sure that you bring yourself onto the stage or type it in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer any questions for you. Again, stay in touch with us throughout the year. We have multiple workshops, webinars, and consulting services that you can tap into our services with, especially online courses is what we've launched since last year for individuals that are looking to receive assistance or an upgrade in personal development, financial freedom, or financial education, and health and wellness. We have experts and consultants and also online courses that can help you shine like the bright diamond jewel you were created to be. And so definitely track with us by going to www.smartjewelzenterprises.org. That's www.smartjewelzenterprises.org to get started on your podcast or on your personal development today. And so those are all of my announcements for our episode that we are getting ready to tee up. We're going to highlight our VIP sponsor before we start today's episode. Each and every episode, we do highlight a VIP sponsor for our episodes from a business owner or entrepreneur that has partnered with us and also that is sewn into our podcast show. And so let's take a look and see who our podcast VIP sponsor is for today's episode. So let's take a look. And so shout out to our podcast sponsor for today comes from none other than Orgain Organic Protein. Orgain Organic Protein is a wellness product and also wellness company that makes plant-based and also vegan and vegetarian friendly wellness products, especially with protein for those that are working out. If you take care of your mental and also your physical, you will be able to see their wealth of different products that they have. We even swear by their vanilla plant-based protein that we use, our team and ourselves. But you, as a listener to the RTJ show, are able to receive an exclusive discount code by using SMART, SMART, JEWELZ. You can use SMART Jewelz, JEWELZ at checkout to receive an exclusive, I believe it's 30% off discount on your first purchase. And so shout out again to Orgain Organic Protein, who is our VIP sponsor for today. And make sure you are taking care of your mind, your body, and even your soul this season, you all. And so shout out again to our VIP sponsor, Orgain Organic Protein. And so those are all of my housekeeping announcements. We're about to get ready to bring on my very special guest for today's episode, which is titled Wealth Creation and Technology in Africa, you all. We're going global with our show next season. And so for those who have been tracking with us, we've been to Asia, we've been to Africa, we've been to Central and South America, interviewing guests that are all over those continents, and even in Europe. We've definitely touched down Europe and, of course, here in the U.S., where our home base is. But we're literally going to be interviewing one of our special guests. I met this king via LinkedIn, saw that he was doing a ton of phenomenal just outlook and also outreach for his community based out of Ghana, West Africa. And so literally our team and myself literally wanted to follow up and see if he would want to share his jewels with us for today's episode. And so I'm going to get ready to bring on, he's literally an entrepreneur, a businessman, and also is certified as a financial expert when it comes to wealth creation and technology. And so without further ado, let me bring on my very special guest, Mr. Lenny Simmons, to the stage. Lenny, how you doing today, sir? Can you hear me? We can't hear you, Lenny. But shout out again to those who are listening in. Lenny, try to work with your audio real quick to see. But we're interviewing for my very special guest today. Wealth Creation and Technology in Africa is the title of today's episode. We're interviewing Mr. Lenny Simmons. And so, Lenny, can you hear us now? Yeah, we can't hear you still. It's okay. Try to drop out and then come right back in. It's a beautiful thing with technology, you all. We want to make sure that we can have you here, Brother Lenny, to make sure that you are able to hear his jewels of wisdom. But we're tracking in Ghana today, you all. It is, I believe, going on 2:15 in the afternoon over there right now. And so shout out again to all of those who are tracking with us, whether you're outside of the U.S., in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in Australia, in Antarctica even, or even in Central or South America. We appreciate y'all tuning in this day for our episode. You can listen to us on all of our episodes that we've dropped for season 1 all the way to season 4 by just searching on any podcast listening platform that you listen to your favorite podcast on. And we have episodes released every Tuesday. And so tune in every Tuesday to see what episodes that we are dropping. And again, we are on Wisdom and Clubhouse now with our live episodes when we go live. And so tune in on any of our listening platforms to see what jewels that we are dropping each and every week on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then we're dropping new podcast episodes on our podcast show on Tuesdays. And so shout out again to all of those tuning in this day. If you have any questions for my very special guest, Mr. Lenny Simmons, you can ask them at any time and come on the stage. We'll be able to answer any questions, and he'll be able to definitely answer any questions below. All you have to do is type them in the comment section, or you can come onto the stage for those who are on Wisdom or even on Clubhouse with us. But today we're going to be discussing, again, wealth creation and technology in Africa. And so wealth creation and technology in Africa is what we're going to be touching on today. Let's see if Lenny is ready for us. Let's see if Brother Lenny is here. Lenny, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can't see you though, but that's perfect that we can hear you though. It's all good.
Yeah, my camera is on. So I don't know why it's not showing.
It's all good. I see it coming in. But tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll troubleshoot the camera in a second. But tell us about Lenny, where you're from, and also tell us why this is an important subject for you to talk to us today about.
Yeah, my name is Lenny Simmons. I'm from Ghana. Ghana is in West Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. So yeah, pretty much I'm an economist by training. In addition to that, I've been involved in technology business for the last decade. And as an economist, I get involved in various industries, the minerals industry, real estate, and different businesses. And so I understand not only my country, but what is going on in especially Sub-Saharan Africa, Nigeria, and other West African countries. So with a background in business, in entrepreneurship, and then also in technology, yeah, I think I'll be able to speak on this subject, especially when it comes to Africa. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is Brother Lenny's or King Lenny's first podcast that he's done. And so we appreciate you, Lenny, and taking the time out, especially on today, to share your wealth of jewels with our audience, because we know you could be anywhere else, but we appreciate you for coming on our podcast show and rocking with us this day. And so for those who are just tuning in, we're here with my very special guest, Mr. Lenny Simmons, who is going to be talking to us about wealth creation and technology in Africa. Again, if you have any questions for Lenny, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can come on the stage for those wisdom listeners if you want to ask any questions about wealth creation and technology in Africa. And Lenny, you're by way of Ghana, West Africa, right?
Yes. I'm in
Okay.
Ghana now. I'm in the capital.
Absolutely.
I'm in the capital, Accra.
You're in Accra. Yeah, shout out to Accra. I know I definitely gotta go to Ghana. I've been to Liberia for my first time coming to the motherland back in, I believe it was 2019. And so I definitely got to get to Nigeria and Ghana and even Togo and Benin. So shout out to all of the West Africans that are tracking with us and that are tuning in to today's episode. And so, like, how is the economy for those who may not know, Lenny, in Ghana? I know about Ghana because a lot of my good friends are Ghanaian, but talk to us about how is the economy in Ghana right now?
The economy?
Yes, in Ghana. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the economy, I mean, pretty much our economy was dubbed as one of the fastest growing economy in the world, and pretty much before the COVID came. So we were really growing. Our GDP was rising, and then the COVID came, which then stopped everything. So for the past 2 years or so, it's sort of leveled up. But yeah, aside that, it's been stable from government to government. It's just been stable because we're still an economy that is based on the same fundamentals for like the past decade or so. Looking at like raw material export, gold export, our mineral resources, and then also agro exports and stuff like that. So yeah, so in terms of the economy, it's been stable. That's what I would say for now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hear great things about Ghana's economy, especially with previously having the year of return. And so all the individuals that study any part of especially Africa or West Africa know that Ghana is definitely fruitful, and it always is on the map, especially here in the U.S., especially when it comes to Afrochella and other global events that citizens will come all the way from all over the world just to go to Ghana. And so shout out again to those Ghanaians and also West Africans that are tuning in. And so, Lenny, like, tell us about, how did you get into economy? Like, tell us your story. How did you go into economy? Did you have family members that were economists or financial gurus, as we call those individuals that are good with their finances? What made you want to go into being an economist?
Yeah, my story of how I ended up studying economics was very interesting because I studied science. My family is a science background family with a lot of doctors and pharmacists and like people who had human science and stuff, right? So I was also cut out in the same direction when I was a doctor or something. And then while I realized that, in terms of personality, I didn't want to have anything to do with blood or be around take care of sick people. Like I just couldn't, because of you have to now be in the shoes of the patient if you want to treat the patient. But then I find myself having all that kind of reaction, and so I wasn't cut out for that, right? So it was one of our studies when at that time the governor at that time, Kwabena Dufour, he was the governor of Ghana at that time, and he was on radio speaking. And then one of my classmates happened to know him, and it was like they live as neighbors. So then he started talking to us about him privately, or like, oh, I know him, this is who he is. So then I said, okay, that's our governor, but what course did he study? Like, what did he do in school? And then he said, oh, he's an economist. and that was like the first time I was hearing about economists or who an economist is. And I said, I see. What do they do? And he said, they are the ones that run the economy. And I said, okay, that's what I want to do. I really would like to go to become an economist. And so right after that, I switched. So mine was like a career switch. I switched from the medical and from the health field, from the science into economics. And I did my first degree. People thought I couldn't do it. They were like, it's not possible. How did you switch from science to economics when you didn't study it in secondary school? But I did well. And I graduated top of my class. I did very well, and that's it. And I love it. So it's like about pursuing your passion and knowing what you are good at and going after it.
Absolutely. For those who are listening, you got to definitely follow your passion. As Brother Lenny is saying, you can't just follow necessarily what your mom, your dad, or even what your family is directing you to go into, because sometimes they do not always know what's best, despite popular opinion. We know exactly what we love doing, and we also want to be able to establish it as our career. And so shout out to those who are listening in, especially if you're just tracking with us. We're here with my very special VIP guest, Mr. Lenny Simmons, and he is talking to us about wealth creation and technology in Africa. And so, Lenny, tell us about when it comes to the motherland, especially for those who are on the Western side of the world. We know that a lot of people are ignorant when it comes to how much wealth and also how many resources that Africa, Mother Africa especially, has in the entire continent. And I know from talking to a lot of individuals that were raised over in East or West Africa that came to the States, they've told me that Africa is the only continent in the world that does not have to import any goods, but that they have more than enough resources and also goods to solely just export and live off of. And so tell us about what are some of the things that you have educated others about when it comes to different lies or even different fallacies of Africa.
Yeah, so pretty much with that, what I can say is Africa is really huge. It's a large continent. I think it's the largest continent in the world in terms of land size, and it's very arable. The land is resource rich. Africa is resource rich in terms of mineral resources, the traditional resources that we know, gold, diamonds, and all of those things can be found here. They are here in abundance. And then also even these new resources that are coming up for the EV industry, the Teslas and all of that. We talk about lithium batteries, all these lithium mines, pegmatites, all these resources, pretty much they are here. So with that, we have it. The motherland, as you would call it, has all these resources. So the continent is blessed. It's blessed. And then you might think that, okay, because the continent is rich in mineral resources, it might not be viable for agricultural produce. But that is also something that Africa is known for. We are able to produce a lot in terms of agriculture. That's how arable the land is. Apart from North Africa that has some desert and some of those issues, the rest of the continent is arable for farming, right? And so when it comes to export, that we will not import things into the country, yes, that is true, but that's not the current situation. The truth is we import a lot. We are an import-dependent continent. Especially we import, processed products, things that you would have to process, because that's one of the things that we are lacking in as a continent. It's one of the areas that we will have to improve. We need to be able to add value to the raw materials that we have. We need to add value to our agricultural produce. Our farmers are hardworking, but a lot of the time we do not, our industrialists do not take over from them. And so we'd rather export the raw produce that is coming from our farms, like cocoa, for instance. Ghana and Ivory Coast are the two largest producers of cocoa in the world. But what do? We export like 80% of it to Europe and to the US. And so then it comes back to us as chocolate and stuff like that. So we are import dependent, especially on processed products. Yeah, so that's what I can say.
No, that's good. That's good stuff right there, King. You dropping a ton of jewels when it comes to educating us on literally you mentioned, which of course from my Ghanaian friends, they told me that y'all are the largest distributor and producer of even cocoa in the land. And so shout out again to Ghana and also West Africa with the Ivory Coast. And so talk to us, Lenny, as we transition. Like, talk to us about the technology scene out there. I know I followed different organizations that are specifically like in Ghana and also in Nigeria. And even I know they have different fellowships and also NGOs that are heavily invested in the technology upgrades in all of Africa, but even particularly in West Africa. But how is the technology scene out in West Africa or even in Africa from what you've studied, and what are some ways that you see it enhancing in the near future?
Yeah, so when it comes to technology, I would say that technology is one thing that Africa has really embraced. With the continent embraced it, especially mobile technology, especially mobile technology. The penetration of mobile technology, it's very high. It's been pitched that by 2025, which is just 3 years from now, we are going to talk about over 600 million Africans are going to have access to mobile phones. They're going to have they're going to go mobile, and so that's a huge number. 600 million people. So mobile penetration is really high on the continent. Internet, it's still especially that one you have is country specifics. Some countries are very they are advanced in terms of the internet penetration, like Ghana is, South Africa, Nigeria, but then also in terms of cost. Of course, you cannot compare it to the US and other advanced economies, right? Because we look at the bandwidth we are getting, maybe 1 megabyte bandwidth or 200 gigabyte bandwidth, and the speed as well. Speed is also a factor here. So if you're going to compare it in terms of the value, which is speed, and then also the bandwidth and cost, obviously it's expensive here. But irrespective of the cost, Africans, especially because the continent is youth driven. It's a young continent. It's the largest young continent in the world with a lot of vibrant young people. And so whether it's expensive or not, people are embracing it and they are using it. They're using it to do business, for entertainment, and for all manner of stuff, education and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the entertainment scene, like you said, Lenny, I heard is literally far advanced out there, especially in West Africa, particularly Nigeria and Ghana, where you're located. So I definitely know that there's tons of room with the youth, especially creating and being so innovative, and even being all the way advanced when it comes to especially technology and ideas. I know a lot of app creators. Even the one that is the creator of the app that we're using today, Wisdom, she's of Nigerian descent and lives, I believe, in London. But there's tons of creatives and also tons of entrepreneurs that we've come across, especially that come from that region of West Africa. And so, like, for those, Lenny, who are still wanting to basically go against any of the lies, especially that have been told when it comes to how much wealth and how much riches are in Africa, or in the motherland, as we call it here in the US. Like, talk to us about like where are the top producing like countries in Africa when it comes to products and also exports. Like where is basically the majority of the wealth in different parts or countries of Africa?
Yeah, with that, it's a great question. With that, and that means that I would have to answer you using the GDP per country, or I could use the GDP per capita per country. If we're going to use just the GDP, which is just pretty much the product that are coming from these these countries, that you're going to have different set of countries. For instance, you're going to have Nigeria at the top. You're going to have Egypt. You're going to have South Africa. Ghana is in there like number 7. Nigeria's GDP is around over $500 billion, close to $600 billion. South Africa is about 400 billion. Egypt is also about 400 billion. Ghana is around almost $80 billion. So you have these countries. That's just the GDP. But if we're going to look at GDP per capita, which then now includes, how the wealth trickled down to the individuals in the country. That these countries that I've mentioned, you will not even find them on the list, right? Nigeria will not be there. Aside South Africa, you're going to have countries like Eritrea, you're going to have Mauritius, Seychelles. Yeah, these are the countries that you're going to find, right? So if you're looking at opportunities in Africa and where you want to invest in or which countries, it depends on the sector you are interested in, right? For instance, if it's agro sector, if you're interested in agro sector, like recently I spoke with a lady who is looking at cotton, right? And then she's talking about cotton in Ghana. So pretty much there are some products that we are not known for, but you can then come in and do your feasibility and then try and see if the land is arable. And once the land is arable, you can add to the basket, because we are interested now in expanding the basket from the traditional, produce that we already know. So we have all these opportunities available. But Africa is very huge, like I said in the beginning, and countries we're different in terms of the economics. And so you would have to look at what sector you're interested in. If you're looking at, and then also where you're going to target your market. So if you want to produce for in Africa and then for Africans, or you're looking at producing for the US market or for European market, and so then based on that, then you know which country to target or which country to come into.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely want to know about the renewable resources, but we're going to try to get you to log off real quick and come back on so we could see if that changes the camera for your face to be able to be seen, because we definitely want people to see Brother Lenny. We gotta have King Lenny be able to be seen by you all. And so definitely, Lenny, try to log off and come right back in so we can see if that troubleshoots your camera. But for those who are just tuning in, we're talking about wealth creation and technology in Africa with one of my brethren, King Lenny Simmons, who is an economist and also a financial entrepreneur and also expert out of Accra, Ghana, West Africa. And so for those who are wanting to know real statistics, real facts, not what social media or even the media channels are pushing about Africa, especially, you definitely want to tune in for the rest of the jewels that Lenny is going to be dropping with us for today's episode. And so if you have any questions, again, for Lenny, or if you even want to come on the stage and speak with Lenny, literally on the Wisdom app that you are on right now, our Wisdom listeners, shout out to you all. Feel free to come onto the stage. We're just letting Lenny log right back in so he can pick up where he left off, because I definitely want to hear about the renewable energy. I know it's a ton of questions that my friends and even my business associates and we talk about when it's dealing with renewable energy. And so, Lenny, I think we see you back, man. We wanted them to make sure they see the man behind the voice. So shout out again to technology. We got to make sure y'all are able to see Mr. Lenny Simmons. So Lenny, can you hear me?
Can you see me? I cannot hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see you. We can see you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
You can hear me? We can see you now. Can you hear me though?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Try logging off. Try logging off one more time and coming back. We're gonna try the third time's the charm. Try logging off one more time. But y'all, you gotta love technology. We gotta definitely love technology, you all. We live streaming. So shout out to StreamYard. Let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors, literally ongoing, and partners that we also partner with for our podcast show. StreamYard is the platform that we use. You can receive a discount code by basically being one of our Smart Jewel listeners to join our StreamYard community by literally just clicking on the link that's in the comment section in order to find how you can join the StreamYard community, you all. Shout out again to StreamYard, who has been an awesome asset to us, and we stream consistently on StreamYard. And so you can click the link that's in our comment section to literally tap into a discount code just from being one of our Smart Jewel listeners, you all, with StreamYard. And so shout out again to StreamYard, who is our power source that we use for each of our podcast episodes. But we're letting Lenny come right back in just so y'all can see his face. We know we wanted to make sure that you all can see Brother Lenny's face, but he's talking about wealth creation and technology in Africa. He's based out of Ghana, West Africa right now. And so for those who are listening, if you have been confused, bamboozled, lied to by the way media, especially Western media, portrays Africa as if they are a poor nation and that people are all living in rural areas and smaller villages, that is not the case. I've been out to Liberia myself and seen it, and I'm looking forward to going to Ghana, Kenya, and even Senegal sometime at the beginning of the year coming up. And so don't believe the lies. You're hearing from Lenny Simmons himself, who is a global economist in Africa, in Accra, West Africa, and Ghana specifically. And so he's telling us the truth, you all. He's not giving us the lies that media does. He's telling us the truth. And so let's see if we could hear Brother Lenny, who's coming back to share wealth creation and technology in Africa. Lenny, can you hear us now, King?
Yes, I can hear you now, and I can see you too.
Perfect. We got to make sure they see King Lenny out there, man. But talk to us, Lenny. We definitely want to get you to add some more jewels before we transition. Talk to us about the renewable resources of Africa, and even like the renewable technology out there, because everyone is talking about that here in the U.S. right now with renewable energy, renewable resources. Like, talk to us about that sector. What do you know about that one?
Yeah, so pretty much with renewable, Africa is pretty much like tending towards solar, because solar is also like one of our main, it's a natural resource here. We have more sun here than I think in other place. I mean, than Europe or the US. We don't even get winter or any of these things, right? So the sun is always here. 80%, 90% of the time throughout the year. And so solar is big here in terms of renewable. We are not going to thermal. We are not going to nuclear. Nuclear is not really the path Africa is taking. Maybe because of the bad press around nuclear. So solar is really where we are. Wind, I'm not really seeing wind industry developing as of now. Maybe it might change in the near future, but I don't see it. With regard to the EVs, which are pretty much also heading towards like sustainable living for the world, Africa has the resources for the lithium batteries and for the pegmatites and all this stuff. So that's what I would say with regard to renewables. Solar is big. We are big on solar over here. Yeah, but then also don't forget in terms of fossil fuel too is something that we are still discovering oil in African countries. Angola is big on oil. They are not going to let go of it now. Nigeria is big on oil. Dangote is now building a refinery. So fossil is also not leaving the continent anytime soon. Ghana just discovered oil recently. We are still discovering new oil wells. And so, yeah, fossil investment is also on the rise on the continent. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's big business. I know a lot of friends, especially that are from Asia. They talk about, yeah, there's so much oil and also renewable energy and resources out in Africa. And so, of course, everybody, whether it's the Arabs, whether it's the Chinese, they're trying to get their hands on as many of the resources that are in Africa, because they know that it's a wealth of resources that are there. And so, talk to us about that piece too, Lenny, before we transition shortly to our final jewel. Like how have you seen Africa literally maintain, let's say, control of the resources based off of what you've seen, even as a little boy going now to an adult? Like, how have you seen Africa literally not have other nations that are coming in basically like hyenas trying to grab all of the resources, and then basically not allow the countries and the governments to control their own resources? Like, where do you see that going?
Yeah, so with that, with resource control, I would say it's country specific. There are some countries that they don't really, the indigenous, the people, the citizens do not control the resources at all. Like we war from countries, right? In Africa, some places like Congo that still have, they're not stable. But pretty much there's a lot of, I mean, because of foreign direct investment, there's a lot of foreign-led initiatives. These are some of these CAPEX projects. You know, these are like projects that are capital intensive. For instance, to mine pegmatite or to mine lithium, it's not something that you can do on a smaller scale. And getting access to capital is difficult for a lot of young entrepreneurs, especially. And so you have a lot of like foreigners. Chinese are here. Europeans and Americans, yes, they are targeting Africa, and they are not only coming in with their capital, they really want to run the show as well. And so you have them owning some of these mines. But then fortunately for us also, because we have like a lot of Africans that are educated, that also have some capital, and so they are also going into it. And then the local content, we have our government protecting, some nations protecting the resources, and then also allowing their citizens to participate. So you have local content, and I think some of those laws, have, so they've helped us. I mean, a great deal. I don't know if it's a content issue, whether it's cut across. With
No, that's
ASA,
real.
and then with African integration coming to play, that might help.
No, that's real. Yeah, it's all about, like you said, controlling the territory and the resources, because we already know from a colonization standpoint that everybody and their mama has been trying to go in to different parts of Africa in order to control the resources. And so we're glad that, like you're telling people, that there are not all foreigners that are running the show in Africa, but there are certain governments and certain countries that do sustain their power and control solely to any foreigners that are trying to come in. And so as we get ready to transition into the final jewel in 1 second, Lenny, like, talk to us, where do you see the wealth being led to, like, new innovative creation, or even with new technology when it comes to like the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what do you see being the future of Africa, and even particularly in Ghana and West Africa? Like, where do you see the future going when it comes to wealth creation and opportunities to create wealth?
Yeah, with wealth creation on the continent, I think it's gonna be led by African diasporans. I think that Africans that have been out there and want to come back, they've made a lot of money, they're in the middle class, upper middle class in the US and Europe, and they can then come back and they transfer technology to the continent. And then also not only that, they have the network, they have access to capital, they have access to cash, and to pretty much the skills needed to make things happen. So these are the guys that must return. And then also African Americans, African Americans like the year of return, that African Americans will know that, okay, Africa is not just a place for them to visit and then visit and then go back to the US or to their various countries, but Africa's home. And so, I mean, the Americans have built wealth now, they've built a lot of wealth, and then they can really come back, not necessarily with the wealth, but with the knowledge and the technology, and come and build some of these things here. So I see that as a major driver. Of course, if you look at, and then the local guys as well to understand the continent. So it's really a partnership, because if you look at like what is going on with sports, right? Ghana has qualified for the World Cup. You'll find that, okay, in terms of the players, the 12 players that are going to be on the team, we're not just looking at local players, those who are playing local leagues in the country. We scout all Ghanaians born in US, born abroad, wherever they are. As long as you have a mother or some link to Ghana, you're a great player out there. We want you to naturalize and get you, to be part of the squad. And we need to, I see that happening in terms of economics as well. We need to be able to open that up, to say, okay, we want to set up this factory. We want to set up, let's say, pegmatite or lithium factory. Who are the Ghanaians or who are the Africans who are in that space in the US? They are working for NASA, they're working for Tesla. We want them to come and then be the one that will champion that initiative. If government in Africa, decide to do things like that, that will really help expect our growth than we are currently doing. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, that's major, especially when it comes to the youth and also to what's happening, like you mentioned, with the youth that are taking the reins and even exploring new and innovative ideas. And so as we get ready to close for our final jewel in a second, Lenny, we definitely wanted you to give a call to action or a PSA. Like, why should individuals who are either Caribbean or even African-American US citizens or even Black Europeans, like, why should they return back to the source, which is Africa, in order to learn more about their heritage and also just more about ground zero of where creation was originally born and also established? Like, why should people that have not been to Africa, especially that are Black citizens or Black Caribbean natives, why should they travel back to Africa?
Yeah, I think that like something that the first president of Ghana said, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he said that as long as you're Black, no matter where you are in the world, you are an African. No matter where you are in the world, as long as you're Black, because Africa is the home of the Black man and Black woman, and so that alone, it's great. It's a great philosophy for Africans in the diaspora, Caribbean Africans, African Americans, to understand that, look, Africa is not only for those of us on the continent, but it is also for all of you guys. And once it is, and it's a huge landmass. Africa is huge. Even though we're over a billion people, 1.2 billion, still the landmass is so huge. It can take on a lot more people. We are not saying that come and settle here forever or anything like that, but make sure that you have something here. You have a stake on the continent, because the Chinese are coming, the Indians are coming, other foreign nationals are coming. Why not you? I mean, what about you? And when you come, having the same skin color and you have similar culture, right? You get to learn about the culture. You can easily do investment here on the continent once you have the right people directing you. So that's what I'll say. I'll say, look, come visit for the first time, visit again and again, and then try and see what value you can bring to the continent, to the motherland. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, that's real, you all. Definitely make sure you take a trip out there. I know I went out there with one of my friends and business associates that has a school out in Liberia, right outside of Monrovia. But you got to go to the motherland, especially in going to Ghana, where Lenny is. That's definitely one of the sources. that you easily can start off on tracking any of the roots or any of the tribes that we're affiliated to. And then also East Africa is a wealth of knowledge and wisdom out there too. But Lenny, we definitely are going to have to do a part 2 with you, man, because I know technology wasn't allowing us to be great today, but we still thank you for hanging in there, especially with dropping your wisdom with us. But what would be a final piece of wisdom or a final jewel, Lenny, that you would want to drop for our audience today when it comes to wealth creation and technology in Africa? What would be your final jewel?
Yeah, so with that, I would like to say that, look, it starts with belief, that we have to really believe in ourselves and believe that we can do it. For instance, Nigeria can release around 500 billion. They are very happy with it. But Nigeria can become a $1 trillion economy easily. If Brazil is $1.4 trillion, Brazil is $1.4 trillion. Why can Nigeria enter into a $1 trillion economy by itself? South Africa has hovered around the 400 billion for a long time. They can also become a $1 trillion economy. So we need these countries, Egypt as well. We need some countries, even if they're going to become like individual nations, at least per sector. So Northern Africa, we should be able to have a $1 trillion economy from like one country from North Africa, like 1 or 2 countries from South Africa, 1 or 2 countries from West Africa, 1 or 2 countries from East Africa. They should be $1 trillion. That's 4 trillion from just 4 individual countries. So that can move the continent 2 something trillion to like 5 or 6 trillion. It is there, we can do it. And so that's all I want to say, that we just have to believe, set those ambitious goals and go after them, and make it happen. We have the education, Africa is skilled, a lot of educated people here now. And so we can make it happen. We just have to garner the resources. And if it's not enough within the continent, we can always call on our brothers and sisters out there to come and help us and make it happen. That's what I'll say.
Absolutely. You're dropping a ton of jewels right there, King. Definitely shout out to all of those that are not afraid to literally extend the hand and to break bread and to even do business with our brothers and sisters that are all over the world, but particularly in Mother Africa, because that is the source. And so if you have enjoyed today's episode with myself and King Brother Lenny, feel free to sow a seed with us. We believe in sowing where you're able to reap and getting new and innovative information. And so if you are enjoying today's episode, feel free to sow a seed by going to Cash App, $SMART, SMART, JEWELZ. That's SMART, SMART, JEWELZ, or you can become a monthly Patreon with us. And so, Lenny, how can people stay in touch with you before I say a special prayer over you? How can they stay in touch with you, King, if they want to do business with you, if they want to follow up with you on any of the content today? How can they stay in touch with you?
Yeah, for business, pretty much I'm on LinkedIn. I shared my LinkedIn handle and my email. So you can send an email and make a reference to Smart Life Jewel, and then I'll get to I'll use that reference. And then also on LinkedIn, guys can send a LinkedIn request and I will accept it for business. But if it's for social, you can reach me out on Facebook as well. And I share the link with your team. Yeah.
Absolutely. So y'all go and follow Lenny on Facebook and also on LinkedIn at Lenny, Lenny Simmons, Simmons, or you can email him at lennysimmons@gmail.com, and we'll put these in the show notes too.
It's Lenny Simmons. There's a K Lenny Simmons.
Oh, okay, perfect. K Lenny Simmons. Got you. Yeah. So for those, we'll put it in the show notes so you can make sure to stay in touch with Brother Lenny, because we definitely gotta stay connected, especially for having you come back for a part 2. But I'm gonna say a special prayer over you, Lenny, to make sure that we are able to send you on your way. We thank you again, King, for coming on and sharing your jewels of wisdom with us for today's episode. We could not have been able to learn, especially for what is happening all across Africa, but particularly in Ghana, without having spokespersons like yourself and also others that have shared their wisdom. And so I'm going to say a special prayer and blessing over you, King, and then let you enjoy the rest of your day. All right, Father God, I just want to thank you for Brother Lenny being able to come on and share his wisdom and knowledge with us. We thank you for him and also his business, his expertise, and we thank you for him being able to be vulnerable and share all of the things that people are talking about here on the Western side of the world, from him being able to educate and also elevate our thinking, and even be able to have individuals know to not listen just to media, but to actually go to the source of people like himself and other entrepreneurs who are there on the ground and who know the information better than any social media channel. And so we thank you for his future business and his future business ventures. May you bless him along his way. May you guide him to new partnerships, new opportunities, and also even new financial engagement opportunities to sow into his work and also sow into his business. We love you, Father. I thank you, and it's in Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ's name, I pray. Amen. All right, Lenny.
Amen.
We appreciate you, King, for coming on. We'll definitely have to have you come back for a part 2, man. But you enjoy the rest of your day, King, and we'll talk soon. Peace.
Sure. Thanks for having me. God bless you. God bless you.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon, King. Have a great one. All right, y'all. I'm going to do some final jewels for thought real quick, just to wrap up. All the names that you see at the bottom of the screen have sown into our podcast show and also into our show and our production. And so literally, thank you all to all of those names that you see at the bottom of the screen that have been a part of our show and broadcast since season 4 has begun. And so if you are interested in reaching new audiences and also starting your own podcast show or live stream show, click the link that we're putting in the comment section or go to www.smartjewelsenterprises.org and sign up for a free 30-minute discovery session to see how we can help you with your podcast show creation. And so those are all of my final jewels for today's episode. You all make sure you shine bright like the bright diamond jewel you've been created to be, because someone that is watching you needs to see the light that is within you and also needs to feel the light that is within you. And so make sure you are not shying away from that light, and make sure you are not being selfish with that light, and make sure you share it with others. I'm King Jewel signing off here. Make sure you take time to go back and watch the replay. I know we had some technical difficulties, but still we will be bringing Lenny back for a part 2. And we'll see you all on the next episode. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay hydrated, and peace.